Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I have an esteemed panel with me, and we are going to talk about a few different topics: value, the collaboration and the partnership ecosystem, and how are companies getting the benefit of generative AI. So that's the topic. The panelists that I have with me for this talk, I have Vikas Bhalla, who's the president and head of insurance at EXL. I have Alvin. Alvin actually runs the enterprise transformation and partner ecosystem for NVIDIA. And I also have Sundar. Sundar also leads partnership and is directly involved in transformation with AI. What I'm going to do next, folks, is I'm just going to ask you a few questions, make it very conversational, because our viewers will really love to get your views. Before I do that, I just give you 30 seconds each to just introduce yourself. I obviously shared your titles, but what are you very passionate about and what excites you about this AI and where do you think it's heading? So Sundar, we'll start with you.
Sure. Thanks for having me here. Sundar Ramalingam. I'm based in Bangalore, India, and I'm responsible for NVIDIA's AI consulting partnership program. Technology is my passion. I really love technology, and I try to keep you in pace with whatever is happening in technology.
Thank you. Alvin?
Yeah, Alvin Costa. I'm based in the Bay Area, and I'm in charge of the AI consulting organization globally, which entails global system integrators, service delivery partners, and the strategic ISVs. I'm actually excited about AI because of the evolution of what's going to come next. Technology keeps moving at a fast pace, and AI is probably one of the fastest technologies I've done in my career as far as the pace of movement. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, couldn't disagree with you on the pace. Vikas?
Hello, everyone. My name is Vikas Bhalla. I'm the president of EXL, and as part of that, I manage the insurance business. I guess for me, the promise that AI is giving us and the hope for a better future is just fantastic. I've seen the pace at which this technology is evolving, and I think the real impact that it has started to create and the potential it has. And frankly, being a part of EXL for the last 24 years, I think the possibilities it brings to our organization and what we can do for our clients is just immense. So very, very exciting times ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Vikas. Now that you've all heard about why each of these speakers share excitement about this topic, Vikas, I'm actually going to start with you. Mm-hmm. Often in your interactions, I hear you talking about the data, domain, and the AI marriage, mm-hmm. and the advantage it brings to companies like EXL. Can you elaborate that for us?
Sure. So, first of all, I like to start by saying that we have a very strong conviction that most of the industry-specific problems will need specific industry AI solutions because generic solutions have only limited applications, and while it can work for truly cross-industry horizontal processes, specific industry domains need specific AI solutions for the industry. Now, to be able to create those AI solutions for that industry, you need two key things. One is a deep understanding of the industry domain, and second is a deep understanding of data and what to do with that data and how to use that data. If you look at EXL, we've been focusing on both of these dimensions quite extensively. I think it's quite well known that insurance is one of our key industry verticals. In fact, if you look at property and casualty, life and annuities, and health insurance, over 60% of EXL revenues come from there. And there we have deep expertise in running end-to-end processes, managing data flows, having technology capabilities in select areas. And then when you look at data analytics, about 50% of EXL's revenue, that's the horizontal view, comes from data management, from AI, through digital transformation, and through running analytics services. So we have a deep expertise both in the domain as well as the data and analytics side. And it's the intersection of that becomes really important. And we have found that as you create industry-specific solutions, bringing domain and data intersection becomes super critical. Let's just talk about one of the things which is quite a popular topic these days, which is if you can actually create an industry-specific LLM. Now, EXL recently announced the launch of its insurance LLM. And we have a roadmap of creating insurance LLMs which cut across multiple functional lines, including claims and underwriting. But let me just use one of the examples. One of the critical areas that need a solution is how do we deal with clinical records. Now, as part of our domain expertise, we have been managing clinical records in terms of assessing those records, summarizing those records, and we have over 15 years of experience working with key clients, that is insurers across multiple geographies, and managing their clinical records and summaries. We also have the expertise of data because we run it off our own platform. So we have millions of records wherein we have the medical records, we have what summaries are, and the mechanics of moving from A to B. Now you use all of this data that we have, for which we have the right to use derivative products, and then you use that to train a foundational model. You can actually create an insurance LLM. So the core advantage that you bring is the domain expertise and the ability of managing and understanding that data. And then you actually work with a partner like NVIDIA, because what you need are solid, strong building blocks. We think NVIDIA probably has got the best of that in the industry. So you use that, and then you use the domain and AI. So this is just an example of how you can bring these three things together: AI building blocks, which NVIDIA brings, the domain expertise and data expertise that EXL brings, to be able to create a very industry-specific solution.
Thank you, Vikas. And I do want to mention, as you pointed out, that in this insurance LLM, when we partnered with NVIDIA, what was most fascinating is that you bring a partner because we knew you bring the engineering prowess. We knew that NVIDIA brings some of the best technologies in terms of the infrastructure and the compute. But what was very fascinating is to see the frameworks of, for example, the NEMO framework, and how it helped us really make it very efficient, accurate, and reduce the cost. But I think the other really amazing thing about this was the collaboration and the partnership with the teams, which is, I think, the most important ingredient, the trust that you work with teams and are jointly aligned to solve the problem. So thank you for bringing that up. Alvin, you mentioned something in your introduction that you're just fascinated with where this is going. So let me put this for you in sort of some context. So when you think about this moving forward, where do you see this AI wave is going and the promise of it? Do you think it's the hype, or do you really see the promise in where this is headed?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a question we often get asked by many customers and many partners like yourself. We've come a long way in the journey. I would say, when ChatGPT launched, that kind of really put AI on the map, right? Because it then enabled the common user to be able to figure out how AI could be applicable to them and be useful to them. Since then, what happened is generative AI started picking up predominantly around large language models and copilots. And then now we're moving into a phase where we're starting to get into multimodal generative AI, being able to do videos, PDF extraction, and things like this. Moving forward, there's going to be agentic-based flows where we have an agent that's going to be attached to an LLM that can speak to you. Think about the evolution of training moving forward. Instead of having training classes, now you're going to be able to have agents train you. There'll be an agent tutor, an agent instructor, an agent chatbot that can answer any questions. If you need to generate content, you could ask the LLM to generate content for you. If you need to generate sample quizzes or test questions, you'll be able to do that as well. If you look in the retail space, you're going to be able to do agents to help you with answering baseline questions, or even ordering, like through a quick service menu, through QSRs at a restaurant, being able to order food. You're going to be able to do that through agents. And so the evolution is getting better and better. When you look at customer support for example, translation services, the ability to speak in one language and then translate it real time and speak back to the person in English, and then speaking back and then translating real time to a different language, that's all things that's going to be the future of how we do business.
Yeah, very interesting. So it's fair to say that you haven't seen anything in your career up until this point that has evolved at that rapid pace as AI is moving. Would be a fair characterization.
That's exactly right. And I've been fortunate. I've caught a lot of technology trends, voice over IP when that launched. I did the flash storage when that launched. I have never seen AI evolution the way it's done. We call it the fourth industrial revolution, right? And it's been pretty amazing to witness firsthand not only the technology evolution, but even the way our partners have adopted the technology and the customers.
Yeah, great insights. So I'm actually going to pick on something you said, and Sundar, let me ask you this question. Last year, a lot of this was about POCs. This year seems like is moving more into production and scale, step at a time, but you've started to see more things moving into production. If you were to put that in context, are you seeing value being generated with your partners and customers as they're deploying AI, generative AI?
Yes, absolutely yes. And we are in very, very early stages of adoption of generative AI. As you rightly pointed out, 1.5 years ago is when ChatGPT was born, and then it was more like a playing toy for people to find out, hey, can I ask for the recipe of my most favorite dish? Can I ask it to write a sample C++ program and things like that? It was people were playing around with it. And last year was spent in experimenting with it. Trying to find out, hey, can I just run a sample problem, a pseudo problem, a fake problem, which sort of resembles my own problem, and let us see how the results are coming out. And now what we are seeing is people are doing a lot of pilots and POCs where they're using their own problems, trying to solve their own problems at a very limited scale. And so where is this heading to? Where we are heading to is towards production stage, where AI, specifically generative AI, will become a practice inside the organizations, inside enterprises. Now, just to draw a parallel, today HR is a practice in any organization, any enterprise. Payroll is a practice. IT is a practice, right? No organization can live without HR or payroll or IT. Like that, AI is going to be a practice where anything and everything that the organizations are doing today will be touched by AI. There is no escaping from it, right? But now we are in very early stages of adoption, and the entire world is ahead of us. And very soon we will see a big jump in adoption, where slowly the new techniques of AI, specifically generative AI, will start getting adopted by enterprises for production, and very soon it will become pervasive across the organization.
Yeah, no, very interesting. Actually, this brings up another point, and Vikas, I want to ask you this question because at times you have made this mention, and perhaps it will be valuable for audience. You talk about organizations will either work with AI or they will work on AI. That's how organizations are going to work. So, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So I think the genesis of this this phrase was when we were looking at how do we think about talent moving forward, and all organizations, including our organization, is figuring out what the future of talent would look like. And you need to bring in more talent. You need to bring in talent, which is a different skill set. We all know that the demand for engineers and data scientists actually is going through the roof. And you also need to upskill some of that talent. So, for example, we know that traditional analytics is moving very fast away from that, the way it was done earlier, to using more AI and getting a little bit more AI. So the way we look at talent is that there would be the data scientists, the data engineers, the architects who will be working on creating and running AI solutions. And we call that talent category as working on AI or working in AI. But then there are many people who do not have the background or the necessary skill sets to be working on AI. But irrespective of the job that they are doing, they will need to interface with AI because their jobs will change. And I think there's an upskilling need for that talent as well, because what you can't do is to basically have such a big differentiation between these two talent pools that they find it difficult to coexist. And also, if people who need to be working with AI are not brought up in terms of their understanding, appreciation, which frankly will lead to trust, which is what is required, then it'll become a bit of a showstopper. So you need to make investments, we think, in both of them. You need to invest in talent working on AI, and you need to invest in talent working with AI. And I think most organizations are realizing it, and so are we, and we continue working on it.
Yeah, so I think interestingly, Sundaran, you are saying sort of a very similar thing, that this is going to become an essential way of how work will get done. your life will get impacted either using the AI tools or you're actually working on creation of those tools which impact those, right? So let me just bring this all in context and maybe with an example. I'm going to perhaps summarize, and then I want to move to the next topic on what does this partnership mean. So Alvin talked about the fact that where this is going is there is domain-specific LLMs, there is multimodality, there is agent and agentic workflows. You talk about this is, Sundar, you talked about this is like an integral function in how this will get done. And Vikas is talking about that essentially the workflow as we see today, or the work, how it gets distributed, can get completely disrupted. So let's take that insurance example that Vikas was talking about, just to sort of summarize this, that a claim comes in. Today, I have a step in a process to do the triage of what that claims is, give the right claim to the right person. There is the adjudication to make that decision. The point you're making, Alvin, is tomorrow, there is no need for you to follow these 8 processes because 3 agents coordinate with each other, bring the intelligence, make the decision. Now, not everything is as simple, but large portion of work, either 20%, 40%, 50%, you're saying is either becoming assisted or autonomous, right? And then what's happening downstream is there are specific language models who are giving that intelligence to you, knowledge which is so expensive today, and the cost of knowledge is so expensive. It's a lot of this is in people's head, that institutional knowledge becomes available to everybody. So this is actually disrupting the whole workflow in the way it's done today as we head into tomorrow. So that's a good way to summarize perhaps what the 3 of you were saying.
That's exactly right.
It is, in fact, one of the phrases that I really liked was one that I actually heard for the first time coming from NVIDIA, which is AI in every workflow. And I think that's the way we should think about, not frankly the distant future, but the near-term future. That the extent of how much AI is being used in a workflow may vary, but I think it'll be difficult to find a workflow which is totally free of AI. And I think when you start thinking about that, then you do realize that there'll be nothing in the way we think about processes or operations or functionality which will not be interfacing with AI.
Yeah, well said. Okay, now I actually want to talk about this NVIDIA and EXL partnership. So, Alvin, for you, NVIDIA is a large company. There are lots of partners that you can work with. There are lots of choices you can make. What do you look for in a partner when you think about your partnership strategy?
Yeah, actually, we'll take it back a little further and talk about the evolution of partnerships, because I think that's a good place to start. When I started NVIDIA 8 years ago, the partnerships were all about solution integration partners. Those are partners that embed the technology into a server, and then we would sell it for, at that time, application acceleration. Then the partnerships evolved, and we looked at to doing reseller partners. And then the reseller partners would put solutions together, along with storage, maybe some security. There'd be routing, switching, along with GPUs built into the servers. Today, what we look for is more of that consultative approach, right? People that have deep expertise, like yourselves, in insurance claiming, for example, that can do large language models around that. People that have a deep expertise into very specific technologies like Omniverse or robotics are things that we look for nowadays. And so the evolution of the partners now have come to these consulting organizations, very large ones, as well as very niche players that could help even augment some of the bigger like GSIs of the world as well.
Yeah, excellent. And Sundar, I'm going to ask you a question then specifically for EXL. What does the EXL and NVIDIA partnership mean to you, and what do you think about the progress we've had together in the last 2 quarters?
EXL is one of the best partners that we have, and there are a few things that support EXL when it comes to partnership. Number one, there is very, very clear executive buy-in and leadership connect and leadership blessing to embrace change. That's very important to adopt any new technology, because without the executive sponsorship, nothing is going to happen. That is number one. The second thing is EXL as a company has strength in 2 different domains. Number one is the domain expertise that it has gathered over many, many years in the area of insurance. And number two, they're very, very, very strong data analytics practice. So this is sort of an ideal situation, ideal marriage, which sort of augments the strength of one. The strength of one augments the other. Your domain expertise combined with your data analytics and AI expertise go hand in hand together. And once again, a very, very committed workforce, starting from the leadership to the data analytics leader to the very, very good developer ecosystem that you have gathered over a period of time. All these things make EXL one of the best partners for us globally.
Well, I'm glad you're sharing that. Thank you so much. Because I'm actually going to ask you this question also. From your perspective, when you think about NVIDIA, what does that mean to you?
So I think Sundar covered it very well. We are very excited about the possibilities that the EXL and NVIDIA partnerships brings. As I had mentioned, that we believe most of the solutions for industries will have to be industry-specific AI solutions, and that's what we're in business for. And I think there are two key reasons as to why we feel very strongly about the EXL and NVIDIA partnership. The first is technical set of reasons. We are building a partnership ecosystem, but when it comes to the building blocks that we need to be able to create industry-specific AI solutions, we think NVIDIA has the best building blocks, whether it's in terms of their infrastructure or in terms of their framework, which includes NeMo or NIMS. We worked with them. We have compared those with some of the others, and we find that it is perhaps the best suited for what we are looking for. So that's the technical side. When you look at the other element, which is purely cultural, which I think is equally important, if not more important, because in the few months that we have been in partnership with NVIDIA in a very structured and deliberate way, we found the pace at which both organizations have moved, whether it is in terms of creating solutions, putting those solutions onto the marketplace, building up capacity, train capacity in EXL to be able to work on the NVIDIA stack. The pace at which we have moved has been just phenomenal. And I think while we have started going to clients together, there's a lot more opportunity of doing that in the near future, and we feel very excited with that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pick one thing that you said. For a company that has such high market capitalization, is actually the most trusted brand perhaps in AI, NVIDIA today. What's been most fascinating is the speed at which this company moves. And personally, we've been involved in these direct solutions build and what we are taking to market. And I think NVIDIA, for its pace and speed, has done an outstanding job. And I think that makes the partnership really special. I think with that, I'm going to conclude this session today, the conversation. Really appreciate your insights. We got a chance to talk about the value. We got a chance to talk about where this is headed. We got a chance to talk about the partnership. I'm personally very excited where this is headed. And to Vikas's point, and to summarize what Alvin and Sundar, you were also saying, our role is to create the best marriage between the infrastructure compute, the software, the pipelines, and the domain capabilities. At the end of the day, the most important thing we'll bring to our customers is the value. And that's, I think, what the NVIDIA EXL partnership promises. Thank you very much for your time.
Great.
And
thank you
for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you for having
very
us.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.